You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Ian, look at this.
What, it's a police box. What on earth is he doing here? I mean, these things are usually on the street. I feel it. I feel it. You feel it?
Faint vibration.
It's alive.
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup exploring over 60 years of the Doctor Who universe. Hold on tight. You never know where the crew of the TARDIS is going next.
Hey there, Whovians. Welcome to another episode of Earth Station Who. We are looking at the Interstellar Song Contest, the 6th episode of Season 15 of Doctor Who, or some people are calling it Season 2, or whatever you want to call it. It is, I know the purists are probably, well, isn't this up Season 47 or something like that? So, and so it's pretty interesting to do, and we've only got 2 more episodes after this one of New Who, and I'm pretty excited to talk about this one. This one, in all truth, was the one I was least looking forward to of the season, and I was like, oh God, the ones before the 2 parts final, it's usually a very weak episode. It's kind of slow. It's kind of plotting. Maybe, sometimes it's a companion light episode or a Doctor light episode, but we've already had one of those. And boy, was I surprised. And we've got a great crew to talk all about this. But before I introduce them, let me let everybody know there will be spoilers ahead, folks.
How exciting! Spoilers!
Not like everyone who spoiled some of the surprises that were in this episode for me, because I was just checking my email or messages on Facebook. Thank you, everybody. And I'm not naming names. So I'm promised I would not name names. I'm pointing fingers at people, but I'm not naming names. So that's all I will say about it. We have a guest with us. Let's welcome to the show, Nick Smith.
Hello. I'm very happy to be here.
Nick, it is awesome to have you on the show finally. You and I have crossed paths multiple times in the past, and we've always said, oh, we've got to get Nick on the show. We've always got to get Nick on the show. And Melanie was like, what about Nick Smith? It's like, oh, that guy, So you want to tell everybody about you?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, everybody. It's lovely to see you and Michael and Mary and Melanie. I'm stoked about this. I am a filmmaker and I'm a best-selling author. So I have a book out this week. So this week I got my writer hat on.
Awesome.
The Cat Who Stole the Cream is out this week. About a cat detective. So that's what I do.
That is awesome. Is it self-published or is it up on Amazon? How's it work?
It's not. No, it's through a traditional publisher, semi-traditional. They're called Four Horsemen Publications.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're very, they want to revolutionize the publishing industry, and they're very, very proactive getting books out. Yeah. So I'm excited to work with them. This is the 3rd book I've done with them, and it's all about cats.
That's awesome. That Mike Gordon, that would be right up your alley, literally. Sure. So that is pretty cool. We'll have a link to it up on our show notes, and so that way we can help promote your book and everything.
Thank you very much.
Always. And, last time we saw you, you were promoting a movie featuring bees.
Yes, I was. Yeah, a movie you can watch on Tubi. That one's called Zombies. So if you like those sci-fi channel, B-movie, Hallmark romance mashups, there's not that there's that many of them, but it's Zombie.
No, not at all.
Yeah, ZOMBEEZ, and it's about mutant killer zombie bees who invade a small beach town, similar to Pensacola.
Yeah, funny enough. And it was just like, I'm sure the promoters loved hearing that, type thing. I think in the sequel for it, Zombies 2, you should have it attack a Comic-Con or something. I think
Zombies 2 Buzzkill.
Oh, I like it. I love it. That is awesome. And it's really good to actually talk to you again, sir.
I can't wait to talk about Doctor Who in general, but this episode in particular.
Well,
I had to watch it late at night when my family was asleep to catch up. And I was like trying to contain myself and not get too excited.
Of course. Not all family members are into Doctor Who, which they should be, but they're not. And, then when you have somebody, so excited, especially with this episode, and you start screaming and yelling like Mel did during this episode. She fangirled big time, folks. She did. And her poor husband, who was probably
Stop hitting me!
Stop the black and blue marks is probably on it.
I get excited. I hit. I don't know why. It's like, I know. I don't get it, but I know. Stop.
It's fun to hear that. And, let's say hey to our regulars, since we've already talked to Nick. Let's say, of course, to Miss Slap Happy herself, Melanie Dean.
I just was so excited. But anyway, hello, my fellow Whovians, and I can't wait to talk a little bit of Who with you, and I promise I won't be able to see you protected by me from wanting to smack things and going...
Yeah. And she says she's a robot with no emotions. I say bull to that.
They come out in different weird ways.
Okay. Let's also say hi to Mary Ogle.
Hi, everybody. It is fantastic to be here.
Did you beat up on Barbara during this episode?
I did not beat up on Barbara. I complained to Barbara.
That's awesome. And last but never least in our book, Mr. Mike Gordon.
Howdy.
All right. So did Michelle watch this one with you, or did she,
No, she was, she doesn't usually tune in to Doctor Who. I think I was more internalizing everything. So
okay. Understandable. It's interesting, and we'll get into this during the review, trying to explain who the characters are, because they'd never watched old Who, or if they watched it, it was with me, type.
You were lost if you never watched old Who.
If you never watched old Doctor Who, there's the two big reveals in this episode. You'd be going, who? Or as Tennant used to go, what?
I don't think that's true. I think that since Shooty's back, they've mentioned Susan several times.
Well, I think Susan a little bit more.
Be aware of Susan,
but Ronnie, nobody. It's Ronnie appeared.
But Ronnie's not in the episode. Ronnie's in the after credits.
Ronnie though appeared twice. And we got balloons coming up, so it's awesome.
Somebody's happy about somebody's excited about the Ronnie.
Yeah, and so having to explain that, because, well, technically 3 times, and she's all over Big Finish and everything, too. And so, because she appeared once during the 6th Doctor era, and then she also appeared in the 7th Doctor, that part, the regeneration time in the Ronnie. And, she also pretended to be Mel. So in that episode, and that's going to be very interesting. We'll get into all this. There's so much to talk about. We definitely would love to hear from you guys at home. Feedback at earthstationwho.com. That is the best way for people to get in touch with us. All right. No real Doctor Who news other than what we're going to be talking about tonight. But today is the 20th of May, and I was lucky enough to get my copy of The Savages from Amazon today. God, we're talking about Amazon again. They should be paying us advertising. They really should. But they're never going to. So I'm not even worried about it. So it's going to be. Can't wait to talk about that.
All the
episode.
business that we brought them.
Exactly.
They definitely owe us.
Yeah. The pennies, that doesn't even cover a tariff cost right there, folks. So there you go. So
escape that word for just an hour, Mike.
Wow. Now you're gonna get hit.
No, I'm gonna get hit the next time I see her. Melanie's gonna start beating up on the camera. That's it. But yeah, that's the real big news. There was a story in the Mirror that Doctor Who has been renewed for season 3. So
Oh, the mirror is very reliable.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a great source to quote, Mike.
So
so glad we don't talk about rumors on this podcast.
Well, it's an article, and everyone's all excited about it. Don't believe it until you see it from the BBC or Disney. That's the two sources you have to take it from right now. And RTD has come out over the last couple weeks saying season 3 is all written. It's all, the production is starting, but they're just waiting for the official word for it to go out. And we'll see. We will definitely see what happens with that. All right. Let's jump into the Whovian Geek Seat. And Nick is our victim tonight. And Nick's like, what?
What is the thing?
This is why you should look at your show notes, as I always like to say.
I should read my emails, is what you're telling me.
No, exactly. So, Nick Smith, your first question in the Whovian Geek Seat. Who was your first Doctor?
It was Tom. It was the fourth Doctor.
Of course.
What a super long run he had. To a kid, it was forever. The fourth Doctor was forever.
Well, if you think about it, 7 years to a little kid, that's almost your whole adolescence right there.
Right. So all the way from, I remember the Wirren falling out of a closet.
Mm-hmm.
For one, I remember the cliffhangers early on, because it was really stick with you as a kid. Zygons and Cybermen, all the way through to Logopolis, where you're seeing this guy who you thought would be there forever.
Finally regenerate, yeah.
Yeah. So what a great way to follow a very human arc and see that change was possible from a kid's point of view.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, growing up, I was the same way. Tom was, I think a lot of us, Tom was their first, and he was the Doctor. I didn't know there was other Doctors. I just thought he was the Doctor, and Robot was, the first episode, and then they ended at Logopolis, and then they started at Robot again. Thank you, PBS, for doing that to me. So, which Doctor would you like to travel with?
I think the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith, because of his childlike sense of wonder. I try to retain that. If I see a rainbow or a deer in the backyard or something, I'm like, oh wow, that's so amazing. And really, that element of his personality clicks with me. So we'd be wandering around going, oh, look at that. Oh, it's a pencil. Someone's dropped a pencil on the ground. And we'd be excited about it for 5 seconds and then get distracted by something else.
But it's not really a pencil. It's a Zygon. No.
It could be.
Yeah, exactly. Which Doctor would you not want to travel with?
I would say the 12th Doctor, because to me, he would have great power as a writer. And for him to call people stupid, I don't agree with, right? There's far more to him than that. But, to use negative words like that so easily just didn't fit right for me. I wouldn't hang out with someone who just calls people stupid or pudding brains.
No, I can understand. I do get that, because the 9th Doctor was that way also.
Mm-hmm.
You stupid monkeys, or all that type of stuff, and putting Rose down all the time, or the different, Mickey the Idiot, and stuff, which he was, but that doesn't count.
Surround yourself with positive people.
That was the most positive thing you could say about Mickey.
Touche, Mr. Gordon. Touche. What geeks you out most about Doctor Who?
I'd say the time travel element. I mean, it still has so many possibilities. I know the time travel aspect that helped me get me through grammar school. Get me through my A levels, because I would take my little daypole figures and I would act out the historical events and learn the dates and imagine Doctor Who stories set in the 30 Years' War or the Spanish Civil War or something, and just kind of imagining going back in time to those periods probably helped me pass my classes. Otherwise, I would have totally failed them. So I still get excited.
Really? Interesting. That's cool. What turned your geek off about Doctor Who?
I'd say fans. Could be
Number one
fans
answer.
throwing spoilers out there, or it could be
We're
just the
not
fans who
talking
don't
about
like
that. We're not. Yeah.
fans who don't like change. Doctor Who is all about change. It should be different. It shouldn't be the same every single week. It wouldn't be our show. So the fans are like, oh, why isn't it like the good old days? They turn me off.
Well, Doctor Who is always about change. That's what I keep on telling people. Like when we were at a con recently and people are like, I don't like the new Doctor. I'm giving up on the show. I always tell them, wait 2-3 years. There's going to be a next Doctor eventually. And they'll go a different direction with it. And you could come back to the show. Mike Gordon actually gave up on the show because he didn't like where the Doctor was going at the time when you were younger.
Yeah. I didn't watch Doctor Who for a long time after Tom.
Right. I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, it was. But then, there was a lot of things, other things too. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
College girls, alcohol, stuff like that.
Well, we can put it down and pick it back up again.
And that's just when I was 11.
Yeah, exactly. See? He was getting into the howdy real early, folks. He really was.
I can tell. The show flips expectations just from the get-go, doesn't it? A police box in a junkyard, and then
that's it.
All around, It's not a piece of junk.
And we went back to its roots quite a bit, actually, with this episode and with hopefully what's coming. Spoilers again, Which Doctor Who companion would you like to meet the most?
I love pretty much all of them, but I would say I loved the first crew, the original crew. So I would totally hang out with Ian Chesterton.
Oh, he was awesome. He was awesome.
Yeah, he's a teacher like me. He's so down to earth. He really brings that kind of human perspective to the story.
And he was a tough guy.
What's going on? He beats people up. Yay.
Yeah, just like you do in class. It's perfect.
If they misbehave, yes.
Watch out for Professor Smith.
Susan, Ian, Barbara, I would totally hang with them, and we would, have tea with Marco Polo or something. There's something a little more sedate and a little more traditional about them that I find reassuring. I'd like to be reassured by Ian. Yes.
Which Doctor Who villain would you not like to meet?
Doctor Who villain, the Crusty Master from The Keeper of Traken, because again, when I was a kid, and this Crusty Master comes up and kind of petrifies the Doctor, he freezes him right near the end of The Keeper of Traken. That scared the crap out of me, so I would not want to hang out with the Crusty Master
because he'd freeze you.
Well, he was just so evil and creepy.
And I'm sure the smell was not much better.
It was crispy and crusty.
Yeah, exactly. What was your favorite Doctor Who geek out moment?
I got, for some reason, super excited right before the 30th anniversary in 93. They announced that the Dark Dimension was happening. That the Doctor Who special. I totally geeked out about it. I ran to my dad and I said, it's coming back. They're bringing it back. Of course, he looked at me like I was an idiot because it's a TV show, right?
Of course.
But I was so excited about that, and it would have been so good to see all the Doctors together. But that was my favorite moment. Yeah.
Totally understand.
A couple of big geek out moments this week, which is amazing to see that that Doctor Who is still, capable of this kind of excitement.
Oh, completely. And hopefully there's people running to their dads now going, characters come back. And the dad's like, what are you doing?
Well, I called my dad, but he didn't really care.
Dad. And he's like, son, didn't you know what we said about you calling about your geeky TV shows?
I always tease about my dad, but he's actually, he's probably the reason why I'm on this show. He always watched the program with me when I was growing up, so he indoctrinated me early on, as dads should.
Of course. how many episodes of Power Rangers did I watch with my son to be, to make sure he grew up geeky?
The cool dads. Yeah.
Exactly. Bravo, dads. Father's Day is right around the corner. So everyone, please give your father love. What was your disappointing Doctor Who geek out moment?
Okay, so for the 20th anniversary, 1983, they had like a Doctor Who event at Longleat, right near where I lived in Bristol, England. And I was bugging my parents, and it was in Doctor Who magazine. They're going to have this event, and finally they relented. They took me all the way to Longleat. The Doctor's going to be there, companions, monsters. So we got to the front gates of Longleat, and they said, "We're sold out. We're done. We can't."
You poor young man. No wonder you're so deranged.
Yeah, exactly. So I was so excited to be there, but also, I mean, they didn't even have a program that could sell me, right? So it was a super geek out moment, but also it was super disappointing as well.
Wow. Oh,
I was afraid you were going to tell one of those stories. Like, what was the one that happened over in Britain? Was it a Harry Potter thing or a Willy Wonka thing where people went and it was just like really cheap and really like just like a person in a weird costume that you could buy or something like that. It was just like really, really terrible as far as a theme park or a theme ride.
It
could have been a lot worse, and I'm happy that they did have an event like that the BBC went all out. So
and you missed
my dad. Yeah.
Another thing to blame Dad about. Okay. This is Dad bashing 101 tonight. That's right.
Love him. We bash him a bit.
Of course. You do it out of love. Of course.
Yes.
What or who would you like to see on Doctor Who? This is your final question. So,
oh Lord. Yeah, I've actually been thinking about this recently because we've seen so many kind of references to past shows and stories and even comics. So I thought I would love to see Frobisher. The Sixth Doctor companion.
Would love that.
With the technology they have now, it would introduce people to a whole new bunch of people to such a cool character. And he would take over for one episode.
If they did Beep the Meep, they can do Frobisher the Penguin.
Exactly.
I was thinking that.
Who doesn't love penguins?
Of course.
Exactly.
And it would be great. I would love to see Shooty with Frobisher.
That would be
wouldn't
awesome.
that be awesome? And we would be guaranteed no tears. No tears. So
No, you wouldn't.
No. Frobisher, you're leaving. Cry.
I can't believe how adorable you are.
I'm just like, wipe your face, man. Come on. To carry some TARDIS tissues around with him.
Oh, very much so. Well, Nick, got some great news, my friend. You've made it through the Geek Seat. Congratulations. Mr. Mike Gordon, tell the young man what he's won.
You have won a lifetime subscription of Dr. Tears.
Oh.
So many tears.
They come in a big vat too now, and it's not a little vial, but a big.
They used to be like a tiny little vial. Yeah, like Mike said, they used to be in a tiny little vial. Now we've got like a keg.
Imagine the makeup department following Shooty around.
Come on, Shooty, cry a little bit. You could do it. You could do it.
I don't have any more. Yes, you do.
Yes, you do. Oh, yes, it's in your contract. It's in your contract, man. Come on.
He hasn't teared up in every episode this year. It's been close, but he hasn't teared up in every episode.
He's teared up. He just hasn't let them fall in every episode.
That's fair.
Yes.
Maybe. Yes.
I could see that. All right, kids. Nick, congratulations. You're now one of us.
I don't know how to feel about that.
pretty scared.
Pretty much the same way you felt when the Doctor Who event was sold out. So
that's on brand for our show. Yeah.
Exactly. So let's take a quick break, and we'll be back in a moment. And we are going to be talking all about the Interstellar Song Contest. Get your vocals going. Each one of us is going to be singing for our country. So there we go. All right.
We're doomed now.
Yeah, exactly. Now to scare people really badly.
Reasons why you should be listening to the Modern Musicology Podcast. 1. Rob is a music journalist and radio host. 2. Stephanie played drums in a 90s band called the Aquanettas and works at major record labels. 3. Anthony was once the webmaster of the official Marillion website. And 4. Alan is a drummer who played in Kiss, Heart, Bowie, and Kate Bush tribute bands. 4 hosts with different backgrounds, but all obsessed with music. Modern Musicology, the podcast for serious music fans, part of the ESO Network.
Welcome back. Now it's time to look at the Interstellar Song Contest. This was an interesting one. Like we said earlier, we wasn't expecting much. This was, for me, when I looked at the list of episodes, I was like, oh God, this is going to be the weakest storyline. This is going to be I'm going to be bored. Let me have my computer up and ready to just play games or do some development or something while this is on, and I'll just, take notes. And
so I want to put a pin in that for a second, Mike, because I'm wondering why you feel that way. Do you just hate the European Song Contest? Is that why?
I've never seen the European Song Contest. Hold on. Let me keep on going real quick. The only time I've ever watched it is when ABBA won. Because I was able to see that episode. Because it was ABBA and it was Olivia Newton-John. And then ABBA won and Olivia Newton-John came in fourth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we learned that in this episode.
Well, I know, but I knew that already. But
so that's not why.
No.
So then why?
It didn't interest me. It just, for something about it was like, it just, the Doctor and, Belinda.
I didn't know much about it going in, so that's why I'm asking, because I didn't. I go into every episode of Doctor Who going, I hope this is this is a good one.
Yeah, but every season has episodes, even from the titles, that's like type things, and I'm often surprised. And this one surprised me. And let's go around first and find out what initial thoughts were going into this, and we'll start with Mary.
Oh, you're gonna make me go first.
Yeah, because you're the one.
Because I'm gonna be the one who rags on it.
Exactly, you're the one about it.
Oh, dear late. This was not my favorite episode ever. This was the weakest one for me of the season. I did not hate it. I mean, I'm not saying it's Sleep No More or Fear Her or something like that. Wow. There were certainly good moments.
Chloe Rabbi.
She's like shaming other episodes.
Well, you also.
Oh yeah, I don't shame those all the way.
This was no Space Babies, okay?
All the time. It wasn't a Chibnall episode.
Well, there we go. There it is.
All right. Hey, we went long this time. It was almost 20 minutes into the episode.
We need like a duck or something.
We had like a kitty every time we threw money in the pool every time we said that. We'd be rich by now. I think, okay, here's my problem with it. And I had to really think about what is it that bothers me so much about this episode. And I think it's the storytelling. It's the structure of the episode. Because, how do I put this? A lot of times before you start writing, before you learn a craft, and believe me, I've been guilty of this. You think of a story as this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens. It's kind of like a chain, and each link is its thing, and there's like a little sliver that's connecting them. And that's not what a story is at all, or at least not a good story. It's more like a river. It ebbs and it flows. And so something happens. You don't move on to the next thing. The next thing is a consequence of what happened before, or a resolution to that, or in conflict to that. They're related. And this did not have that. This had disparate scenes that just with very little transition, that just jumped from one to the other. It was very jarring, and it's just not good storytelling. It didn't work as a whole for me. And so there are moments in it that I liked. Don't get me wrong. But I think it just did not work as an overall story. It was trying to do too much in too short a time, which has been a problem with this whole season. But this one really was a problem. So there's too much crammed. And because of that, we do not get to know the characters. Like, there's this huge moment where the doctor is shocking Kid. It does not have any emotional resonance because we don't know Kid at all. He is just, we don't even hear from him that much. It's mostly other characters talking about him, and even they are not very, forthcoming with who he really is. And his girlfriend is like a total afterthought. I mean, she does nothing. And yeah, even though she's the one who actually pushes the button to open the shield to quote unquote kill all the people you think they're going to die, and nothing happens to her. And so this story just really left me wanting. It left me frustrated, put it that way.
Okay, let's go on to Nick. Live up to that one, dude.
Yeah. It left you cold, like the emptiness.
The emptiness of space.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you said those things, Mary. Yeah, I really enjoyed the energy of this episode, the look of it. I'm loving the design. The seems, it relates to the design we saw in the Robot Revolution, and it's that kind of very colorful, almost like giant toys that the characters are playing with. So I love all that. I love the concept. I did feel that the characters were two-dimensional. We did not get to know.
I was thinking the exact same thing, especially Kid. I thought
we didn't get to know the bad guys or the good guys. So I would have liked to have seen more character development. That's something that the show does so well. It did it well in the previous episode, right? Mm-hmm. It spent more time with people in one space, just exploring their characters. And there are some kind of revelations. People just happen to have the skills needed to save the day.
How convenient.
Very convenient, yeah. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, it was fun. And it just had some moments that really gave me a buzz. It was like, whoa, that's so cool to see that. So, not perfect.
Yeah.
We needed maybe one more draft of the script. I also love that it was written by Juno Dawson. I'm like one of the 12 fans who listened to all of Redacted, and I enjoyed their different take on the show. So It was good to see a different writer having a go.
Nice. Like that a lot. All right, Melanie.
So I'm going to be a lot different. I bloody loved this episode. I thought this was amazing. For me, the writing was the style that, okay, so I'm more of a gamer now than anything. And there goes my camera. Sorry, guys. So for me with gaming, I love storytelling in gaming. I am one of those completionists. I am one of those fools that will put 300 hours into a game and I'm still not done with it. And for me, it had the same payoff. And like if I'm going through boss levels and that I need the villain. And this for me, while I agree that they could have done more with Kid, and was her name Win or Wim?
Wim. W-Y-N-N. Yeah.
Okay. She did everything. I was kind of like, okay, so he's the bad guy and then she's the executioner, so she's actually the one doing everything. I'm like, girl, why do we have you? Are you supposed to be like the failsafe to make it seem like, oh, you really have the conscience but you don't? Okay, that was kind of maybe a little clunky, but that first scene when the little bubble bursts and all the people go up and you realize how many thousands and thousands of people go up,
that was breathtaking. That was just amazing.
Because all that I registered in my head are these people are dead.
Yeah.
And all we're seeing as an audience are bodies. We're not even, I mean, just death toll. So at that point for me with Kid and her, you're a villain. I don't care. Kill him, kill him, kill him. What the heck? I didn't, for me, the beginning gave me the stakes to hate this guy. And then going through with Belle, not knowing, because I could still see Belle's kind of, but then the doctor finding out that, oh, you're going to kill 3 point something trillion. For me, again, I thought this hit at every note I needed. I thought Mike and Gary were absolutely amazing. To your point of, yeah, everyone has the skill sets. But I loved how he's like, where am I going to find a transcend? And Mike's in the background just he's looking right straight up at his boy.
I love that scene.
Husband, boyfriend, whatever. Just looking.
That's really
I know
fascinating
people
then.
who do that in real life, and I'm one of those. Where if someone doesn't know something in the room, we're just.
You know, he's.
I
get that all the time when somebody's internet goes down. Oh, you know, Mike can do that, fix that. He does IT. Yeah, it's like, yep, exactly.
That's really fascinating that you're looking at it from the point of a view of video game, because I did not think about it like that at all. But if I do think about it, I can see what you're talking about, how they're sort of moving from level to level throughout the whole thing. And that does actually make it make more sense.
Yeah,
well, exactly.
It's a baton race. And
when you first meet Mike and Gary, they couldn't get into the box because the doctor and Belinda were in their box and they were locked out. They were locked out.
I actually love that scene. That was a great scene.
and
then going to the robot like, can you help me?
Yeah.
Phase
exactly,
one.
Security. It's like, what? Phase one? What's that? Exactly. Anyway. All right, Mr. Gordon.
Well, I know it still happens, but it's not as huge of a thing as it used to be. But for decades growing up, and if the studios, the networks would always have 2 shows in particular, or 2 months in particular, where they would try to get viewers, the ratings months, right?
Sweeps.
The Nelson months,
sweeps,
right?
Yep.
Sweeps. This is a friggin' sweeps episode. Like this is a sweeps episode. I don't think it really matters anymore as far as all that stuff goes, but or at least it's still up in the air as to how that really works. But this one is sweeps. Now I'm gonna, for right now anyway, temporarily leave all the revelations off the table, because I just want to talk about just this storyline, and I can definitely see. I'm not surprised we have a wide range. Last week, when we reviewed the story in the engine, I mentioned how I really appreciated how Russell T enlisted Inua alums to do the script, and in my mind, stayed out of his way, because it really felt like this was something unique that we hadn't seen before. A vision that we hadn't seen before, and everything was just amazing and compelling that way. This one is the exact opposite. Russell T, I give credit to Juno Dawson, because I know how much of a Doctor Who fan she is, and I know this is a dream come true, and I envy that position to be in, right? Like that would be amazing.
Very much so.
But it's, in the behind the scenes, it basically, RTD called her and said, like, I wanted to have an episode of, think Eurovision Song Contest meets Die Hard, right? That's what she was given. That's what she did. And she turned out the most RTD-ist script that you could possibly turn in. Like this is shocking to me that it's not written by RTD.
Sure.
Because it hits those, because he doesn't care about plot points. He doesn't care about any of that stuff. He just wants to create little like moments. And this episode, this story, it works for me, and I think it works for a lot of people, just because scene by scene, there are little moments of dialogue, character, and it's brought basically by the writing to a point, but the direction by Ben Williams is amazing. The visuals are amazing. As Melanie pointed out, that visual of all of the bodies floating up is just like it's awesome on so many levels, right? Like, and I don't mean like it's awesome, cool, awesome. I mean it's awesome, just like, oh my god, this is something huge.
It's
and
horrific in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. It is absolutely horrific. It's one of the horrific things we've ever seen on this show.
Mm-hmm.
That's full of like kind of kooky characters throughout. Some of them could be kookier, and yes, some of them could be developed a lot more. I do believe that, as everybody's pointed out, Kid is boy, you're giving him a lot of credit calling him two dimension, because I think he was one. I think he was just one note. But that said, Freddie Fox just owns him. Like when Freddie Fox like enters the screen, I'm just compelled by him. I'm like, this is, I've seen Freddie in a lot of other things, and this, I think he just owned the screen. I couldn't help but go, I want to see him again. I hope we see him again at some point. And to Mary's point, I hope we get to find out more about him. So yeah, it's not a home run, but it's full of a lot of like really fun things that make this, like, when I watched it the second time, I could easily watch this a third time, a fourth time, a fifth time. And then you add all of the, celebrities that are involved, and all the Easter eggs regarding past, and I'm not even talking about the big, reveals, and then we move the main plot along too. I mean, this just hits on all sorts of cylinders, and I thought it was overall a home run when he did all that. So
okay, no, I agree with a lot of that, Mike. It's interesting. Everyone brings up really, really good points. The special effects and the scenery and the sets were amazing in this episode. I think this was one of the most expensive episodes that they've done all season, special effects wise. And I could see it. But I got the total vibe when the Doctor and Belinda landed in the box. I felt, oh, they're in the Grand Senate in Star Wars.
It did look like that.
We can do that too.
Yeah. And so I like Judy. It's
that's gonna be out there now. Someone's gonna do that. Someone's gonna do that.
Of course,
if it hasn't already been done.
Oh, I'm sure. And I thought, I agree about the characters. Mike and Gary were amazing. I liked Mike and Gary. I would love to see a spin-off with Mike and Gary.
Yeah, they were.
Or the next Big Finish series.
The next Finish series.
There's Django and Lightfoot, right?
I'm good with
Hey,
that.
I'm there.
Yep.
I'd be there. And I think that would be great. I loved when the Doctor got caught and sucked off into space. I thought that was good. And the TARDIS. Poof. And just because where Belinda was standing, she was saved for a minute. And I thought that was really well done. I thought the producer of this series, the little person they had, was awesome. I thought she was great. And, did I want to see more of her? No. But I thought the actress playing her and the character, I love that. I love all the behind the scenes stuff anyway, because I used to work in television. I used to work in radio, and seeing the production that goes behind it, I just always fascinating when I see that on screen. Did I love one of the best scenes in this episode? You saw the Doctor get mad. You thought he got mad last episode. This eclipses that.
Oh yeah.
If Belinda didn't come in there, he would have killed Kid without, just kept on shocking him. And this is what we've seen. We saw this with Tennant's Doctor. We saw this with Capaldi's Doctor. We saw it a little bit with Matt's, but it was just always interesting to see. And you finally got to see the Doctor pushed over the edge. He thought Belinda was dead. He thought this guy, not only killed over 100,000 people, sucked into space, but you thought he was about to, unleash this swarm or whatever the signal out to over 3 billion people, or trillion people, however it was. And it was just, you saw he went he went over the edge on that one. And
Yeah, but the doctor said something to Kid that I found really interesting. He said to Kid, he's like, I know your type. It doesn't matter the cause. You just like killing people. And I don't know if the doctor wasn't referring to himself a little bit when he recognized that in Kid.
oh yeah, you could see very easily the Dark Doctor coming out. Or do I say the value?
They certainly, since RTD's, taken over, and I'm not just talking about this time, I'm since New Who, we've definitely seen, they made it a point to show us the dark side of the Doctor, just glimpses of him here and there. So here's another example.
We just reviewed the Dream Lord, and that's another dark version of the Doctor.
I feel like at some point, it's going to come, if RTD gets his way, at some point we're going to see a dark Doctor. And that would be, most uncomfortable, but it would be very interesting.
And I think Judy pulled it off really well.
Yeah. I mean, he's just, he owns this character right now.
Yes.
Well, when he was talking to him in that little screen when they saw them face to face first.
Oh, that would be a great band name. I love
that would be a great band name. I giggled at that point. I had to. But when he started becoming just angry and this is the pain I'm promising you. And then we saw him start delivering it upon him. It's like, oh, he's not kidding. But I felt like because the Doctor felt that torture of how these people were going to die with the Delta wave and how they were it was inescapable, and he's seeing two other people going through it and knowing that 3 whatever trillion are going to go through it. I think that kind of exacerbated the hate or the ice in his heart, as he said.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting. Yeah. I thought
so well.
The whole thing with the reasoning for the corporation with the honey flavoring was, you see it all the time. It's the reason, they're destroying the Amazon rainforest. And, that's the comparison right there. And, when they showed when the woman was singing the song, which the song was beautiful. The song was amazing. But I thought, them, when they showed the video of the planet with the fields burning, and that's the Amazon rainforest, what they were, going on. And man has done that over the centuries. Mm-hmm. And it's just,
I'd rather see it done that way with the images than the Doctor giving a lecture.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't do this, and this is wrong, and you're destroying something.
Exactly.
Show us instead of telling us, please.
Right.
Exactly. It's.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that despite the problems I have with the storytelling, the acting in this, including the guy playing Kid, who did not have a lot to work with, was amazing. Everyone was really selling it. The only one I struggled with was actually the girlfriend's character, but not because of the actress. Right. They literally gave her nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So there just wasn't anything she could do. I thought Mike and Gary were great. Like you said, I mean, just from that characterization was down from the very beginning. You knew who those people were and who they were to each other. And they were like the old bickering married couple. And you knew that right from the start.
Yeah, and it was, but I also loved, I don't have a clue who Ryland Clark is. And, I know
he's funny.
Oh, he was funny. And I know he's a big deal in the UK. And I know he's a TV announcer. And I think he also does radio. But I love how they just defrost him every year for the.
That seemed like the whole concept, and that in particular, that idea, I just found very like Douglas Adams-ish. Like I just really felt like that would be a place like in in one of his early books.
My parents used to joke about it with Dick Clark every year on New Year's Eve. They used to defrost him to bring him out to do the thing.
I also like the fact that, Mike, you mentioned it. The last song, the final song is beautiful, but mentioned it a few other times this season that we all sing the praises of Murray Gold. In this episode, he's just showing off.
Yes, he is.
Not only does he give us dramatic music throughout the whole episode that fits and is perfect, right? But he's like, you know what? If I wanted to enter that contest, I could win just like that. Just with a song, I could win with a song about like big feet. and like there are songs that they're singing about big feet, and yet I'm thinking, yeah, that could win. That's exactly what one of those like your Eurovision songs sound like. They're just like, and then he gives us like, and then he harms us all by giving us a song like DoctorWho.
Yep. Thanks.
So, but I mean, to this level, to have someone like Murray Gold do this, like, is just amazing.
Did Murray Gold, did he write all the music for this?
He did. He wrote the music. They did say that Juno and RTD did do some lyrics for some of the songs, but the final song, which is in, a foreign language that nobody really speaks, it's just made up. That was all Murray, from what I understand. And let me tell you, the music, as well as the acting, production, direction, and everything, like editing and everything like that, you don't need to you don't need to know what she's saying. You just feel it. I mean, I felt like tears welling up just because I was like, I felt like Judy. I felt like the doctor.
So
like tears were welling up because I thought it was such a moving, emotional moment. And credit to everybody involved for making that happen. That's not easy to do.
What did you guys think of the singer revealing herself that she's part of the same race that Kid was and the accomplice?
That was telegraphed from 5,000 miles away.
Yeah. Yeah.
I picked that up immediately.
What were they called?
That she was somehow connected
Hellions
to them. Yeah, Hellions.
Yeah.
I was interested in the horns being cut off forcibly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I did like them talking about how with the people, how they quickly went into her producer, I guess to say, I can't remember his name, went right into, I can't believe he hated her, and how all the people just went right into we hate you. And all I could kind of think was propaganda, how propaganda works beautifully, and just watching Andor and thinking,
oh yeah,
the Gormans.
Or going in Society Today, which we're not
today. Hello, how analogies in different fictional series work really well because you can quickly correlate it to the real world.
Yes,
and even historically.
Remember, this was filmed 1.5 years ago, folks. So,
well, I mean, it's been relevant for as long as there's been people around.
After she finished her song, though, what did you guys, with the silence? I was hoping it was going to be the doctor to start clapping, but it ended up
he observes. He doesn't.
Yeah,
he wants everybody to.
But it was Mike and Gary who started the clapping.
Yeah, it was better for it to be Mike and Gary because Mike and Gary are like the everyman, the ones representing the population.
Yeah, I thought that was. I mean, it would have made sense. Yeah, if it was been the doctor, but the fact that I think it was important that it be somebody else.
Right. Agreed.
The Adventures of Mike and Gary.
I could see it. Come on, Big Finish, you're missing out. Come on.
The message that, there's different ways to protest and get the message across. I felt like that was, compelling. And a lot of interesting things here. I also like the fact that Graham Norton is in it is fun. Who doesn't like Graham Norton, and he's fun in this. But also, it's not just a cameo that you can throw away. I mean, if it's not for Graham Norton's hologram, like that moves the plot along for this. Like,
I love that they did that.
He does an info dump.
I loved it because you saw him earlier and you thought, oh, that's cute, that's wonderful, but I'm glad they brought him back for the second time. And then it was just like you found out literally after Belinda left, the Earth vanished in a second. Boom. It was vaporized.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to have somebody do an info dump, have it be Graham Norton.
Yeah.
He plays it straight. He doesn't
He
smirk
does,
about it.
but he did not mention once about the expressway being built for the off ramp.
No, it wasn't that Douglas Adamsy.
Yeah,
But he did it really well because he did it in a very casual way. The way he was talking about how the Earth was destroyed.
yes,
It was that was very Doctor Who. That sort of turning it on its head,
Exactly.
telling you something so dire, and like, oh yeah, and then the Earth got vaporized.
Oh yeah. By the way,
Nick, dare I say that's not only just Doctor Who, that's very British.
Oh, very. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right.
Is that fair? Is that fair?
So let's bring up the first one.
Okay.
Who is ready for? Who had on their scorecard Carol Ann Ford showing up as Susan in this episode?
Not
No.
this episode.
No.
Only because they started showing off Susan clips on the Doctor Who social media
Yeah.
before the episode ran. So
Okay.
I'm thinking, oh, we're finally going to see Carol Ann Ford. But I was thinking like later that this is the starting to tease, not surprise
Yeah.
Here I am.
repeatedly.
I think I saw that Long Island Who advertised like that Carol Ann Ford's going to be there this year, like all day that day. Like they knew.
Well, they probably saw the episode already. It's like,
Yes, of course.
and so it was. I wish I wasn't spoiled. I would have been beyond myself, but it still was amazing, and how they did it as a vision. So, because like you said earlier, Mike, it was like they've been talking about it since last season, but then they've been hinting at it with Capaldi having the picture of Susan on his desk.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it's just like, do it already. But
We've been asking for it.
yeah, we
got
have
it.
been. And we
The
got
way they did it.
and
Yeah.
poor girl is 84 years old. So let's not last too much longer, folks.
Yeah, but from what I understand, when they did the behind the scenes stuff, they were talking to the director, and she is still sharp as a tack.
Oh yeah.
Most of the interviews and stuff I've seen with her, she's right there. Like she doesn't seem like there's
Right.
Yeah,
any
she's
sort of.
doing pretty well for 84.
What were
Absolutely.
you starting to say, Nick?
I was just saying because I'd seen a shot from the show, so I knew she was going to pop up. But still, when she popped up, I got this kind of buzzing sensation, like whoa, So the way that they did it, the way that they kind of flashed her on the screen, was very powerful for me.
And it was interesting because she was in the TARDIS.
Yeah.
And it was like, is she there waiting for him? Was she hiding in one of the back rooms for all these years? Because the TARDIS is so.
Oh, and she says, "Find me."
Yeah.
I'm in the TARDIS somewhere.
Grandfather, I went to use the restroom and then I got lost.
You changed all the desktops again, and I just can't figure out how to get out.
But I loved it, and I loved it that it was two different scenes that she was in too, and two different visions, I should say. And it was kind of also.
I think we see her 3 times.
Do we see her 3 times?
Yeah, we see her once when he's about to die, frozen or whatever, and then we see her when really powerful moment when the doctor's violent.
Mm-hmm.
Stop. And she tells him to stop.
Yep.
And that's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Your granddaughter telling you to stop is not enough for you to stop. So I thought that was very telling. And then at the end, sort of when he talks about her and says that that yes, all his people are dead again.
Okay.
It's funny because he said that and I'm going, how did they die this time? I can't remember. Why are they dead this time? Like I can't. Why is he the last of the time?
It was the master last time, if I remember correctly, because they all got turned to Cybermen.
You're correct.
Cyber lords. Excuse me.
Cyber lords, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It was interesting though,
At the Chernobyl
because
era.
in the behind the scenes for this series, it was nice because you had Verada actually talking with Susan, and them going back and forth, and they showed the filming of the scenes. And then you also had an interview with her and with Carol Ann Ford, and she was wearing a different outfit.
Ooh.
And these are taken, these interviews are taken from the set. So right there, we know she's, definitely going to get her back this season. So, but how? Who knows? As we like to say, and we'll be there to watch it and everything. So that was pretty awesome. And then the after credit scene. We finally found out who Mrs. Flood is.
Yep.
And I think half the people who know who the Ronnie was, their head exploded.
Right.
And then it supported the bi-generation again, because they weren't surprised by it, but they were surprised in this is going to happen to us now. So it makes it to me think it's Time Lords are aware of this occurrence, that it wasn't this new thing specifically for 1415, that this does occur in the canon.
There's going to be an awful lot of Time Lords if every one of them keeps bi-generating every time.
Someone once said, "Oh, they're just like worms. They just bi-generate."
Yeah, I don't know if I'm still a fan. I mean, it is what it is. So, but yeah, the bi-generation seems. But in this one, it's so strange because I couldn't. The second time I was watching it, I almost got the idea that Mrs. Flood was the one who was not wanting to let go completely. So she was like causing the bi-generation because she still wanted to stick around. In any case, I will say the two of them already have so much chemistry. I can't wait to see them interact more.
They're really fun.
Yes,
together.
They just seem like the great. It seems like a great team.
Well, it almost seemed like after she bi-generated, it almost seemed like Mrs. Flood was like a lackey and such. And I don't want to see that. I want to see Anita Dobson, be the mustache twirling villain.
Yeah, but if it's like
or
the
at least
master,
hold
they're
around.
like the one. Every one of them is going to think they're the one.
Of course,
right? So it's I imagine the Ronnie's the same way. So I'm glad to see the Ronnie back. I like the idea of the character, although the execution of the character in the past, I think, is one of my least favorite Doctor Who stories ever.
Thank you, Pip and Jane Baker. Thank you.
Terrible.
Yes.
No offense to, it was Kate O'Mara played her, right?
Yes.
Am I right about that? And she was amazing. But she was always a character that had so much more potential than was actually like shown on any of the shows.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping now that we get to see that. And she doesn't come across as, almost costume wise, I was worried that she was going to come across as kind of a Missy Light. And I don't think that's fair to that character.
It's kind of funny because you bring Missy up a little bit because they've been talking about the triad of destruction, and you have the two Ronnies. There's supposed to be a third.
Yeah, they've already shown pictures. BBC's already released the triad. They've already called.
No, it's called the triad, but it's not whatever that idiot Clive or whatever his name was from Lucky Day. He's not the third. They're talking that possibly, another whoever picked up the Masters.
Tuesday.
It's
like I don't whatever. So
other podcasters. How's that?
Oh, I see.
I listen to other Doctor Who podcasts. So there you go. And I've seen other podcasts too. Sorry. It's an open podcast relationship.
God,
it's okay. Exactly.
Revelation.
I know. Coming out tonight. Here we go.
I don't know. What does everybody else feel about the return of the Ronnie? Finally, officially.
I mean, I feel like I think this is hilarious. I actually love Susan and the Ronnie coming back because I think this is, and I think it was Mikey G who said he felt like this is a very RTD episode, even though it was written by Juno Dawson. This really felt RTD to me because it was him totally trolling the fans. Because anytime there's a mysterious woman, it always is either Susan or the Ronnie. That's what you hear first from other people.
Oh yeah, but you even got with Miss that when they introduced Missy, you thought that people will say it's Ronnie.
Yeah, it's a very long time trope, and it's just become a joke in the fandom. And he's been trolling us all season, and I think it's hilarious. I mean, I actually love it when he does that. So I was perfectly fine with it. I mean, I was loving it actually. So I can't wait to see where they're going with this. I hope they don't drop the ball.
I'm terrible because for the second they say, well, this is a Ronnie and, I am the Ronnie and it was, you can call me let the battle begin. That whole thing started. I started smacking my husband, freaking out. I was cackling with glee because I was yelling, finally! Ha! I was so happy because I was just in this euphoric moment of every person who's brought up the Ronnie for the past umpteen years. I was like, finally, they can shut up.
Exactly.
It was interesting because during the episode, when Mrs. Flood was up in the stands and she had the little reading glasses and she was looking at it, she had that little device in her hand. And if you pause on it was in Gallifreyan.
Ooh.
And so it's just like, okay, well, that only leaves it to 15 characters it could be. So it was still, Ronnie was on the bingo card, but then there was Rassilon, there was the Master, there was, so many, even Romana had been brought up. And so it was interesting. I was talking to Mike Faulkner over the weekend and, he had already seen the episode and I told him I had already been spoiled. So him and I were chatting about it. And, a lot of folks were just like going, it could have been, that in Big Finish, they did Romana 3 as the president of Gallifrey. And he said that would be a great storyline for them to transfer over into, the video, into the show. And the actress who played her was on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She played Drusilla.
Mm-hmm.
And
Lando.
Yep. And she would be awesome for the role and everything. But what we got, and I still felt bad for Judy because she's not seen any of the Ronnie episodes of the old series. And so she had no clue who the Ronnie was.
So she didn't have a clue.
She didn't have a clue. She's like, who's Ronnie? And it's like, and I almost wanted to go, oh, she was a companion for Sarah Jane in the Sarah Jane Adventures, but I did not go there. I promise I did not. I promise you I did not go there.
I mean, probably about 3/4 of the audience have no idea who the Ronnie is.
Right.
But I'm not sure it matters because all that really matters that you get that it's another Time Lord and they're probably evil and
it's an antagonist.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all that you really
because
need to know.
It came out that she was a school equaled as with the Master and the Doctor, but because she was a scientist and she had no morals basically on what she experimented on and everything, she was banished from Gallifrey. And so it was interesting. And, is she as evil and conniving as the Master? In different ways. And
Nick, do you have any thoughts on the reintroduction of the Ronnie here?
I mean, I love that the character's back because she is that cold, calculating scientist. So she's a different kind of villain from the Master. Just when Melanie said, was it let the battle commands begin? Yep. That gave me goosebumps just hearing it from Melanie. So
I think they used the audio clip from...
It sounded layered.
Yes.
Yeah, it did sound like they used the audio clip from maybe Kate O'Mara,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The bi-generation was not as spectacular as I would have liked. I mean, the Derek Jacobi Master transformation is, the top for a villain reveal for me.
Oh, sure.
This was just a bit like, okay. And then you had that weird thing where part of her persona is submissive and the other part is dominant. And, You're like, okay.
At least they did
thing,
carry over the clothing split.
Yeah,
that they
that's
did
true.
between 14 and 15.
But I thought it was a lot of fun.
They
I
did.
can't wait to see what happens.
One was wearing the coat and the other was wearing the pants.
That's what I said. I was glad they did that.
Yeah.
So, and it was interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. The trailer for the next episode looks pretty amazing. And then you also had the TARDIS exploding at the end of the episode. Something small like that,
Which we have done before as a cliffhanger.
It's a good news, bad news thing. The good news is we're here. We're finally here. The bad news is that, we're blown up now.
Yes. We came right at the time when everything just gets destroyed.
Exactly. Maybe we should shoot for a couple of minutes before that.
Exactly. So it'll be very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing what's coming next. And this was fun. Was it perfect? No, not at all. But was it fun? Yeah. And that's what I want for my Doctor Who. And I think this season, again, is going into a much better season than Shooty's first season. And I'm looking forward to optimistically into the last two episodes because I've been burnt so many times. Any final thoughts before we go ahead and do our ratings?
I loved when Mike was treating the doctor and had his little scanner and he was looking at him and he was in full nurse mode where he saw, 2 hearts. That's a great, and being like proud of him going, of the biology, and not any other time we've seen a doctor examine a different species and go, no, he was just like complimentary, like, that's a good thing. And look, the respiratory
and I loved when they shot the adrenaline into his heart, and into his chest, and that was right out of Pulp Fiction. Yes. And that was just awesome. All right, anything else? Or let's go ahead and rate 1 out of 5 TARDISes, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Nick, you're the guest. You got to go first.
Thank you so much. I got to give it a good whacking great 4.
Okay. Any explanation or just a 4?
No.
No.
Just because it gave me all the good feels. I really enjoyed it. Also had the complexity of the Doctor. He's not just Mr. Nice Guy in this one. We saw those darker moments. So that definitely ups the stakes for me. And the past characters coming back, that's got to be a really good 4. So like I said, not perfect, but almost there.
Okay, fair enough. Mike?
I'm going to go 4.5, which is, I think, what I did last time, but for completely different reasons. I mean, you couldn't have 2 episodes be more different in a lot of ways, and yet that's what I like about Doctor Who is that you could do, you can do different storytelling. And in this case, this one works. I think it's for me, it's a 3.5 and a 4 just for the story itself. You add the cameos, the history being made. This is history. This is Doctor Who franchise history we're talking about, times 2, and who knows what's going to go on from here. But to Nick's point, I like the fact that, it's one thing I guess we didn't mention, but during the course of the review, but there's a lot of great Doctor moments on it. Like I said, Shooty's just owning this character at this point. He's so good. I really don't want him to go anywhere because he's just great. And I thought Belinda had a lot of great moments in this too. Mm-hmm. I like the fact that they're, when she freaks out and sort of has a emotional breakdown after, once she realizes she's on her own, I like the fact that they didn't shy away from that. They kind of still showed that and sort of her working through that. Mm-hmm. And I like the fact that, we still have that the Doctor needs a companion because the companion helps really, is a good thing for the rest of the universe.
Oh, very much.
It's a good thing for the rest of the universe if he has a companion. If he's by himself, bad stuff can happen. So,
well, it was interesting because we also didn't bring up that, Belinda actually said that she's finally enjoying being with the Doctor, and
she's willing to concede how wonderful he is.
Exactly what a wonderful person he is, and instead of get me home, I don't want to be here type thing.
Well, she still wants to go home.
She does. Well, yeah, she definitely still. And it's as he made a promise. He's going to get her home, and so. It's interesting because I think this is the full evolution of her character. I think she's getting more fleshed out in a lot of ways, more than Ruby ever did.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I will
definitely.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot more to her, I think, too. I prefer her as a character over Ruby's character. So, but that's me. So,
okay. All right. Mary, let's hear it.
I think I'm not going to be as low as you probably think I'm going to be. I thought about giving it a 3, but I think I'm actually going to give it a 3.5 because I'm going to give it an extra 0.5 because the acting is really stellar here.
Yes.
The production values are really stellar. The music is really stellar. I do not hate this episode. There's a lot to recommend it. I just have problems with the story. However, having said that, I want to see more from Juno Dawson. I think a lot of new writers, when they're coming into Doctor Who, have trouble with the 45-minute format. We've seen this before.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to get that pacing down and the sort of blend of comedy and drama. But I can see glimmers here of really good stuff. So I want to see that develop. So I really hope they bring Juno back.
I really miss the cliffhangers. All right, Mel, what do you got?
Based on my rating scale, all right, that's why I gotta lay this down. I've watched this 3 times already. I've watched multiple clips of this. I love this episode.
Have you hit your husband every time?
Oh, this is a 5. This is an absolute 5 in the Melanie scale.
This is the 5 hits.
This is a 5 smacks. And I mean, this is on the same echelon scale of my top favorite 3 movies of all time. It's based on the fact of rewatchability. And if it's on, I'm done. I'm sitting down on the couch. I'm not moving. And I know everybody has those movies where, they're not Oscar winners, but I'm now glued to my seat. It's me, Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade. It's Die Hard with a Vengeance. It's National Treasure. And if it's a miniseries, it's Band of Brothers. Okay. That's random. It's weird. Those are my favorite things that speak to me. This episode is one of those Doctor Who ones where it's the 50th. I'm glued. I liked it. It hit everything that Melanie needs, and Melanie's giving it 5 TARDISes. If she could give it 10, she would.
Fair enough. She liked it so much.
Y'all.
She is referring to herself in the 3rd person, folks. It's awesome. Yeah,
that's awesome. Thriller. It had horror. The body count. And they were laughing.
Huge body count.
Mike and Gary show. Let's go. Come on. Give me that spinoff.
You got it. All right. I'm going to actually agree with Mr. Gordon. I'm doing 4.5 for this one. I enjoyed it. I loved the little in-jokes. I loved the little, Easter eggs. The singer who was of this race that we only got to see in the Dalek Master Plan once. And then you also, and then you
and that was the singer she was the actual singer from the Goblin episode, if I'm not mistaken.
She was.
So the actual singer. So she actually gets to appear on screen for the first time.
Under a ton of makeup.
So she can appear it again.
Exactly.
At some point, we won't even know.
We won't even know it's her, but damn it, it was fun. And like Melanie said, the Mike and Gary show all the way. Mike and Gary for the win. And
they get their own podcast.
Oh, I'd listen.
Subscribe.
Mike, that was another funny thing, a funny line where at one point Belinda says, "I got to get home. They're going to do a podcast about me, about my disappearance."
Oh, I love that. I love that. It's like,
and I'm like, "Yep, that's funny."
Who would do that?
Yeah. Wow. What happened to Belinda Chandler? All right. But yes, it was. The effects in this are just amazing. The effects of them all being sucked into space, when you see the whole all the crowds just being sucked up, that was just beautiful. in a horrible, horrible way. And I feel bad for those folks having to revive 100,000 people, having to do the tractor beam and having then to put them into the machine. Oh, we have one last one. And it just happened to be Mrs. Flood. So there you go. And I just thought it was great. And, having the Ronnie and Susan was just icing on the cake for me. It was the only thing that pulled it down from a 5 for me, truthfully, was that, the story. The story itself was too disjointed. It jumped around. And if it was more of a smooth transitions, I probably would have given it a 5. I gave a 5 last week, and because I just loved that episode, and I've already watched it another 2 times since I rated it. And this one is going to also be really in the rewatch category. I'm looking forward to seeing what else I see, what else I, find. And, people, or, I already see people online, saying, oh, did you see this, or did you recognize that? And it's like, no, not really. But, that's typical. But, let's hear what you guys at home thought. Feedback at ourstationwho.com is the best way. It's pretty awesome. We've been getting a couple pieces of email, and so definitely, please write us, continue to write us. And oh my goodness, at 9:00 under the bell, we got from Elizabeth Laney. Yay, Elizabeth. So Elizabeth wrote, greetings, ESW crew. It was good to know that I was missed last week. I excel at procrastination and often find that I've missed the deadline for the review. This is the first season I've actually managed to mostly keep up with you guys. Thank you. We appreciate that. Like many, I generally enjoyed the story in the engine and hope we get more stories like that in the future. I also really enjoyed the Interstellar Song Contest, even before we started to get all the major reveals. I thought the music was fantastic, and I loved the Graham Norton cameo. I had to look up Eurovision, however, so I could understand the inspiration for this episode. I was glad to see Mrs. Flood finally revealed as the Ronnie, but her cameos in every episode felt really forced. I'm so excited to see what they do with the Ronnie and hope she isn't going to be written off in the final few episodes of the season. The actress seems amazing. I've always seemed like there should be a few other Time Lords out there somewhere in the galaxy. I, for one, am ready for a bit of break from the Master and Susan. Oh my God, Susan. I love how the show can bring the characters from decades ago back to create incredibly rich ongoing stories. I guess now the question, will we see more of Susan before the season ends, or will Russell carry her storyline over into next season? Can't wait to see what's in store for us over in the last 2 episodes. Elizabeth. Awesome. Yay, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
We do appreciate it, Elizabeth. We also got a piece of feedback from Peter again from last week.
Cool.
Hi, Peter Manis. We met Peter at Pensacon last year, and so he was in our panel room where we only had Mary, Barbara, Judy, and Peter and his daughter. So, but it was awesome. All right. Pete wrote, hi all, appreciate your last podcast. Thanks for reading my email and rewatching the story engine. And I appreciate it much more after your guys' discussion. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
That's cool.
As for this last episode, wow. Just love seeing Carol Ann Ford. Little iffy on how she was talking with the doctor. Kudos for those who said Mrs. Flood was the Ronnie. Weird that a Ronnie was so subservient to the Ronnie, unlike the doctors by generation. Looking forward to this week's podcast, Peter Manis. Peter, thank you. We appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Peter.
And I'm glad you gave the story in the engine another view, because it is worth watching and it's just a beautiful episode. So bravo there. And then, of course, we also just a little shout out to one of our Facebook friends, actually. We have over on Earth Station Who. Please join our Facebook group if you haven't yet, because it's an amazing, amazing crew over there, and you can talk to each one of us. And then we got a little bit of one of our viewers, actually, David Odell. He says, I haven't posted in here for a while here, but I have enjoyed the reviews of each episode of this season of Doctor Who. I'm looking forward to your review of episode 6, the Interstellar Song Contest, since we find out who Mrs. Flood finally is. Keep up the great work. That's awesome. And, folks, people are also writing us up on Facebook. You too, join our Facebook group. It's free. Come on. So it is interesting. So it will be very, very interesting. And actually, Jerry Chandler called out Mr. Mike Gordon on Facebook.
Yeah, he helped out with a question that I had for the last episode where we saw a bunch of signs in the Nigerian market.
The POS.
Yeah, and
it is a piece of... No.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not anything foul. It's well, I mean, who knows what it's referring to in the episode, but at least it is accurate to the market where it stands for point of sale. So,
that totally makes sense because they're probably, as most places are, slowly switching to electronic sales.
Except I do remember there was like a wall that had like a bunch of POS like poster and so I was like that doesn't refer to anything that's in the market. It still was kind of confusing to me, but still, I don't know if it was a reference that I was supposed to get that I didn't, but I just thought it was interesting.
No, and Jared,
but like I said, RTD makes you look everywhere.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Yes.
Look at what he did with Bad Wolf all those years ago.
Absolutely.
Or
he has started
Torchwood. It's like so.
And sometimes he just does it to troll us. So maybe
RTD troll us? No way. No, I've never seen that.
I think that's the only reason he came back to Doctor Who, really, was because he wanted to troll all the fans.
Oh, of course he did.
Fair.
I think it's just his he's like the kid from Hellion. He's sort of out for revenge of all these millions of Doctor Who viewers.
That makes total sense in so many different ways. Well, thank you for staying with us tonight. We went a little extra long, but it was totally worth it, folks.
A lot to talk about.
We did have a lot to talk about.
We barely scratched the surface.
And I actually really think we're going to have a ton to talk about next week also. When we get into the wonderful episode, what did we say? Of course it was. It is called Wish World. So, so I'll be very curious to see, what Wish World is, and the images and the trailer looks great. So I think we're in for a fun one. So join us, of course, next week with that. Let's thank everyone for being here tonight. Of course, Nick, you made it through your first episode with us.
The whole thing.
You did.
A cool episode to be talking about. You know, I mean, I feel like I was here at the right time.
You hit the lottery, my friend. You really did.
You picked the right one.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And Melanie didn't have to slap you, which was even better. So let's go. So it's a good thing.
Feeling the vibes.
Where can people find you?
Okay, so just go to #NextMythFilms. You'll find my Instagram, you'll find my YouTube channel, you'll find my website, and just say hello. I would love to hear from you.
Definitely. Tell them you found them on Earth Station Who.
How do I buy your book?
Yes.
You could go to Four Horsemen Publications and save some monies, or you can go to Amazon and find it there. The Cat Who Stole the Cream is my new book.
Aha. Okay. I think that's awesome. And we also have a link to it up in our show notes too. So you'll be able to find it there. So if people actually look at the show notes, they can actually see it there. So there you go. Let's also thank our regulars for being here. Mr. Mike Gordon, we made it through another one, my friend.
We did. And as always, it's my pleasure.
Anything you want to promote?
Just the usual. We've got, podcast happening. We just released an episode of the Dragon Con Report. So that's the May episode is available now. And we talked to a member of the Palmetto Knights, which was a fun discussion. I had no idea all that stuff that goes on with that group there at Dragon Con. So that was exciting to learn all about that. Also, Bat Chums and New Legend Lounge are still very much happening, and you can see them both on YouTube.
Excellent. And Ms. Mary Ogle.
Thank you. I had a wonderful time talking with you guys.
It's always great talking to you, even in an episode where you're going, you still pulled it out.
I was Debbie Downer this time.
It's okay. Mike Gordon can't do it all the time, so it's there you go.
So depressing, Mary. Yeah. You just have to correct that attitude. Turn that frown upside down.
How can people find your artwork, Mary?
You can find me at maryogle.com or on Etsy at eVision Arts.
Excellent. And Ms. Melanie Dean, thank you so much as always.
Thank you so much as always, as I love chatting Who with all y'all.
We love having you because, we're glad it's virtual because we'd all have marks on our... So, how can people find your stuff?
You can find me usually on Instagram. I tend to lurk on. Pieces of Melee is my personal handle. Otherwise, you could see me doing my stained glass full-time jobby at Diamond Tech Crafts.
Yeah, I took a look at it the other day. It's really cool stuff, folks. Definitely check it out. It's definitely worth it. For me, of course, you can find me here. You can find me up on Facebook, Instagram. Usually it's Mike Faber or sometimes Mike Faber 67, depending where you're looking for me at. Podcast-wise, over on Tales from Hollywoodland, we are talking about the cinema's most sexy scenes. So it's a lot of fun. Maybe have a glass of cold water with you during that episode. Old guys talking about sexy scenes. It's real fun there. So it's definitely worth checking out. And then over in Julian Schlossberg's Movie Talk, we do part 1 of our interview with Michael Palin, and it is an awesome interview. And these two, Julian and Michael, have great chemistry, and they just go off and just talk about stuff. And in part 1, they talk a lot about the forming of Monty Python, about how they had to fight for the name with the BBC, and then just how the different Python members met each other and such. It's pretty cool stuff. And they also talk about real quickly the celebration of the 50th anniversary of Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So it's pretty cool stuff. And so definitely check those out. You can find those wherever fine podcasts are found. But of course, if you've taken the time to listen or watch, please, of course, like and subscribe this episode. We definitely would appreciate it. Give us a thumbs up. That's how, YouTube, of course, knows that you guys are watching. And if you get a chance, please, if you're listening to us, 5 stars, that's the best way to do it. And, we've been getting some great feedback this season. So definitely let's keep it up, folks. No slackers out there. So definitely check it out. On behalf of all of us here at Earth Station Who, Mike, Melanie, Mary, and Nick, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you here next time on Earth Station Who. Peace, and we are done. All right. Let's go to Wish World. I'm ready for it.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from throughout space and time. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individuals and are to be used for entertainment value alone. You can subscribe to our show wherever fine podcasts are found, or check out our website, earthstationwho.com. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook or Instagram, and if you enjoyed the show, please write to us at feedback@earthstationwho.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the next journey of Earth Station Who.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.